Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, August 3rd, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Thursday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Miami Marlins. Michael Lorenzen makes his Phillies debut, and Johnny Cueto on the other side for the Marlins. Now, of course, Lorenzen was an all-star for the Tigers, picked up by the Phillies at the trade deadline. He's been pitching well. I mean, his last start wasn't his best against the Angels, but still, 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, 3 runs, no home runs allowed, only 1 walk allowed. His control's been good. He had a big-time scoreless streak before that game against Los Angeles. I think he pitches well in this game, and Johnny Cueto, through his first 4 starts with the Marlins, 16 innings, a 5.06 ERA, 0-2 record, and the Marlins are 0-4 in his first 4 outings. I don't really love him in this spot, even though, both of these teams have not really been great against righties as of late. I do think the Phillies have the big advantage in the starting pitching matchup, so give me the Philadelphia Phillies here on the money line on the road. Next up, we go to Texas as the Rangers take on the White Sox. Touki Toussaint and Max Scherzer are your starters. Scherzer, of course, making his Rangers debut in this one. I think he pitches well in this game. I mean, he's facing a White Sox team that's really struggling offensively. They were shut out in the final game in that Guardians series, shut out in the first game of this series, and in the last 30 days, they're dead last in baseball in team OPS and isolated power against righties. So I really don't like this matchup for Chicago offensively. Touki Toussaint's been decent this year, a 3.5 ERA. I still think the Rangers bats will get to a very good lineup here at home. Give me the Texas Rangers on the run line in this spot, even though the price is not great. Next up, it's the New York Mets taking on the Kansas City Royals. No official starter for the Mets right now, but we should see Brady Singer going for Kansas City. Singer's pitching really well as of late. I mean, his last couple of starts, 19 strikeouts and 11 innings of work against the Twins and Yankees. He's winning games for Kansas City, believe it or not. 3-2 the Royals are in his last 5 starts. And, the New York Mets were struggling before the trade deadline. Now they get rid of a lot of their pieces on their roster. I think it's going to be a pretty rough rest of the season for the Mets. We saw a pretty rough first game in the series for the Mets after, a walk-off balk in extra innings for Kansas City. Give me the Royals here. They're playing pretty good baseball at home. I'm going to take them on the money line. Next up, it's the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman going for Toronto, no official starter for the O's. Gausman's pitching well at Rogers Center this season with a 2.48 ERA and 65 1/3 innings, 94 strikeouts with a 215 opponent's batting average. A good start for him at home in his last game against the Angels. A 4-1 Blue Jays win. Gausman goes 6 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts. He's facing an Orioles team that in the last month, they've crushed lefties, but not so much against righties. They're 20th in team OPS, 20th in isolated power. Strikeout rate's getting up there a little bit, right around 24% as a team. Give me the Toronto Blue Jays here on the money line with a lead to the run line as well. Next up, it's the Houston Astros taking on the New York Yankees. A big-time rivalry between these two teams. Clark Schmidt and Christian Javier are your starters. We know these teams have played against each other in the playoffs quite a few times in the last decade or so, with Houston usually getting the better of the Yankees. And I do think that the Astros win this game as well. Could I see Clark Schmidt pitching pretty well in this game? Sure, but I'm a little bit concerned with the fact that he's not really missing a lot of bats recently. His last 2 starts against the Royals and Orioles, 10 2/3 innings, only 4 strikeouts. And the game against the Orioles, he was only able to go 5 innings, gave up only 3 runs. It wasn't a miserable start. The Yankees went on to win the game in the end, but he had 96 pitches thrown in those 5 innings. He was really struggling to put away hitters in that game. The Orioles had a home run in that one, so I do think the Astros, another tough team to put away hitters. They don't really strike out much. They have good power numbers, good OPS numbers against righties. I think Schmidt could struggle. Christian Javier starting to get a little bit better on the mound. We saw him, miss some bats his last game against the Rays, 9 strikeouts in 6 innings, a quality start there. He's only given up 1 home run his last 2 games combined, which is also an improvement. I think he's the better option here. I think the Astros have the better bullpen and the much better lineup right now. So give me the Houston Astros on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to see Mitch Keller and Adrian Hauser on the mound in this one. Now, I think Mitch Keller is the better starting pitcher in this matchup, but I do think the Brewers have the big advantage basically everywhere else in this game, and it includes the season series dominance that the Brewers have had over the Buccos this year and in years prior. Mitch Keller's also not been great on the road this season with a 4.53 ERA. He wasn't great in the month of July. The Pirates lost a lot of his games, and he had an ERA above 6 at 6.28 through 28 2/3 innings. Adrian Hauser, although he gave those 6 runs his last start, it was a really tough spot to be in. He faced the same lineup twice in the same week, and that lineup was the Atlanta Braves, one of the best lineups in baseball. So I think he bounces back here. I like the Brewers in this matchup on the money line with a lean towards the run line as well. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Sonny Gray and Matthew Liberatore are your projected starters. I'm going to lean towards the over in this game. I know the Twins don't have great numbers against lefties this season or in the last month, but their strikeout numbers against lefties are starting to decrease quite a bit, which is a positive sign for a team in Minnesota that we know strikes out quite a bit as a team, at least overall this year. I think they'll be able to get to Liberatore, who has just really struggled at the major league level this year. Has had good numbers in the minor leagues, but his control is still an issue, walking a lot of batters. So he's earning those strikeouts, but the control has not been great. And when you look on the other side, Sonny Gray is also starting to regress a little bit. The Cardinals have good numbers against right-handed pitchers, and even though they moved a lot of guys at the deadline, mostly in the bullpen and starting rotation, they kept a lot of their members in the lineup other than guys like Paul DeYoung. But I'm going to take the over here in Minnesota, St. Louis. Next up, we go to Wrigley as the Reds take on the Cubs. We're going to see Luke Weaver and Jameson Taillon on the mound. I do think Taillon is the better option here. I also think he's in better form overall. Taillon's last few starts, he's actually been pretty sharp. His last game against the Cardinals, 6 innings, 1 run. That was the second time he faced St. Louis in the same week. The first outing against the Cardinals, 5 2/3 innings, only 1 run. Before that, in a 17-3 Cubs win, Taillon went 5 2/3 innings against the Nationals, 3 runs allowed, so he's missing some bats. He has only given up 1 home run his last 4 games combined. Luke Weaver, we know he is struggling overall this season, mostly at Great American Ballpark, but still a 6.8 ERA on the year. Gave up 2 more home runs his last game, gives up a lot of sharp contact. I like the Cubs in this matchup on the money line at Wrigley Field. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Los Angeles Angels, a big-time rivalry in the AL West. Brian Wu and Shohei Ohtani are your starters. It wasn't a great month of July for Brian Wu, who struggled, with a 5.47 ERA, and the Mariners went 1-4 in his games. I don't love him in this spot, and I'm especially, a little bit worried for him because of his last game against the Diamondbacks. No strikeouts through 5 innings of work, giving up 2 walks and 7 base hits as well. A lot of base runners in that game. You're facing a tough Angels lineup that hits righties well. I think Wu struggles here, and Shohei Ohtani, one of his best starts really of his career in his last game against the Tigers, a complete game shutout, only 1 base hit allowed with 8 strikeouts. It was a really strong bounce-back outing for Shohei. I think he pitches well in this game against the Mariners team. It's got pretty good numbers against righties in the last month, but they also strike out quite a bit as a team. Give me the Los Angeles Angels here on the money line and the run line in this one. And the final game for Thursday's card in Major League Baseball, it's the Oakland Athletics taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Pair of southpaws on the mound in this one, J.P. Sears and Julio Urias. Now, we talk about it all the time. The home and road splits for Julio Urias, pretty significant this season. On the road at 37 2/3 innings for Urias, a 7.88 ERA, a 309 opponent's batting average, 10 home runs allowed. But at home at Dodger Stadium, 43 2/3 innings, a 2.47 ERA, much lower opponent's batting average, better strikeout numbers, a lower walk rate, a lower home run rate. He has been so much better at Dodger Stadium this season. It's where he's pitching right here, facing a pretty weak lineup in the Oakland A's. I think he pitches well in this one for Los Angeles. J.P. Sears kind of had a inconsistent last 5 games. We saw him struggle against the Astros back on July 21st. Pitched really well at Coors Field against the Rockies in his next start, so kind of strange there. But the Dodgers, even though they're hitting lefties well overall this season, in the last month, it hasn't been the best. They're right around league average in team OPS and isolated power. Their walk and strikeout percentage is good, but I do think Sears can put together 4 to 5 decent innings, keep us under this total in the first 5 innings. Give me the under here, 4.5, 5 runs in the first 5 between Los Angeles and Oakland, 10-9. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.